Welcome, my math friends, to week 15 of the semester. Can you believe 15 weeks already? It goes so fast. So, hey, it's a little different week this week with those Monday and Tuesday testing in the morning. So I thought I would try something a little different for us today with this intro video. So let me know what you think, if you like, if you think it's effective. So I want to talk about two things real briefly with you guys before you get started. First, I want to talk a little bit about your attention, the power of your attention, what we've been discussing, and how that can relate to your E2020 growth. And then I just want to do, secondly, a real quick review on what we've been focusing a lot on as a class, that is graphing lines. So number one, the power of your attention. You know, you've heard me say it. Hopefully you have thought about it. You maybe experiment a little bit about bringing your attention to different things and just seeing if you can start to really recognize and experience growth in whatever it is that you're focusing on. Because remember, as a human, especially as a young human, you are growing every day. And you're going to grow in some direction. The more you can control and focus your attention, the more you're going to grow in that area. So what I'm trying to do with us in our math, and especially with using our E2020 software, I'm trying to get you to learn that lesson, to learn the skills, to practice the skills of bringing your attention to something that's wholesome. It's good to put in your attention to this. Nobody's going to say it's bad to learn math. And then practice what it feels like. How do you do that on a daily basis? And then see the results as you start to see the growth going up. And so one way to do that is to just stay focused on your growth. Stay focused on your level. That's why it's so powerful for you to start to take control of that information. Because in the beginning, I was always printing off reports every week. Here's what level you are now. Here's where you were last week. Here's your growth. But now we're transitioning where you're going out there and you're looking at your current level. You're putting in the spreadsheet. Now, it's not like I'm not doing that because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it. It's actually really easy for me just to click a button to get a report of everybody's level. I'm doing that so you can learn that process. So you can take your attention, which so often our attention, as you know, is just wavering all over the place, and you start to bring that attention back to one of the most powerful places you can do is you bring that attention back onto yourself. And you focus on yourself. You look at your E2020, you log in, you see what your level is currently. You put that in a spreadsheet. And when you do that, also take a moment, look, where were you last week? Where were you the week before? What trend have you been working on lately? What can you do to change that trend? Something up on top of my roof. Freaking me out. So anyway, do that first. Go on to, can you hear that? Go on to E2020, look at your level, and then put that in the spreadsheet, update that for me. And remember, if you don't learn to control your attention, people around you, businesses, advertisers, politicians, they are going to capture your attention. That is the way things work. If you don't control it, if you don't learn how to seize that and bring it to what's important, someone else is going to do that for you. And then you're going to grow and you're going to go in areas that may or may not be in your best interest. So you need, as a young person, the sooner you can learn and practice the discipline of controlling your own consciousness, of putting your mind where you want it to go, the more powerful and the stronger version of yourself you'll become. It's basically as simple as that. So I invite you, practice it, try it with the math, try it with your E2020, see how that works, see how it feels. It will feel good. It will feel good. It will feel right. When you put your attention to something that's wholesome, and then you start to grow in that direction, it always feels right inside. Okay, there's a difference. Know the difference between doing something that feels good, doesn't always feel right. Something that feels right, it has a power unto itself. Mathematics is a very pure idea, powerful concepts that are just right. It's not good or bad. It's just right, okay? Enough on that. So please do that. Secondly, let's talk a little bit about math. Let's make bring our attention to graphing lines. From your warm-ups the last couple weeks, I feel pretty good about the vast majority of you. You know how to graph a line using at least one method. There's 3 distinct methods at least that you should know so far. And let's just go over them briefly. Ideally, everyone's going to have a real strong foundation in all 3. First of all, this is the one most classes start with, is making the table, right? A lot of you guys are pretty good with this. you have some kind of equation, you get it in this format. Sometimes you have to rearrange the variables. You want it to y equals something x plus a constant. And then you make a little table, a little chart. X, you put in the expression of the line, the formula in the middle, and then you put in y over here, and then you pick. This always blows people's minds sometimes. Where'd you get those numbers for x? Remember, you pick any number you want. Pick at least 3. You plug them in to the function, into the equation, and you figure out what y equals. And then once you have those, at least 3 points. Sometimes, I think Miss Keithley likes 5 points. The more points you do, the more confident you are with your line. If you start to see points going all over the place, you're doing something wrong. But 3 points is generally not too bad. So that's method number 1. You guys are pretty good. Number 2 is a little special case of that. It's when you find just 2 points, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. What happens when x is 0? What happens when y is 0? This one, the advantage is you don't need to rewrite the equation. You can take any equation you want that has x and y in it. You just plug in x is 0, figure out what y is, then plug in y is 0, figure out what x is. You have 2 points then. You can graph those 2 points, connect them, you're good to go. So that's a nice method. And then the final one that some of you are learning right now, and you've been practicing last week, is slope-intercept form. Now that has to be written. You have to rearrange your equation so it's y equals mx, the m stands for the slope, plus b. The b is the constant, so we call that the coefficient, the number in front of the variable, and we call it the constant. So with those 2 pieces of information, you can go right to a line and you can graph directly on your coordinate axis. So I have my y-intercept, which is 2, so that means x is 0, y is 2, and then my slope, which is 2, which really we think of as 2 over 1. So slope means rise over run. So if the slope is 2 over 1, we're going to rise up 2 and run over 1. Okay? So the one thing that tripped people up last week that I observed was if it was a negative slope. And then people were going to go down because it's negative, so that's cool. But then they went left. Okay? And if you think about that for a minute, if you go down, that's negative. If you go left on a number line, that's also negative. So you've gone negative twice, down and left. When you do that, the 2 negatives cross off and you've actually ended up going positive. So think about that. If you have a graph, if you went up and to the right, that's the same as going down and to the left. You end up on the same line. So if it's a negative slope, you have to go down and to the right, or go up and to the left. So you can only go in one negative direction, either up and left or down, which is negative and right. So remember that one. Good luck, people. Get some work done today. If you have math homework, of course, do that. But please update your spreadsheet first and foremost. Take a moment, reflect on your growth, think about what you want to do, and then do it. Grow some today, and let me know when you need help. As always, I'm out.